Hello and welcome to the media news on Voice of the People television. I am Promise A. Before beginning news, kindly visit our website on www.vop.ng for fresh and trending stories. And now the headlines. President Tinubu preaches unity, meets Obi, Fayemi, Catholic bishops, and this is during the Pope's inauguration. FG's electricity debt balloons by 800 billion naira, says the Senate. Talking about 2025 budget Flays FG for exceeding GDP projection. FG partners Borno on anti-terror strategy revamp. SANU, NASU reject sharing formula in 50 billion naira and allowances. In business, China to open EV factories in Nigeria, says Dunhai. And in sports, Tinubu urges fair competition as Gateway Games opens. And now the news in details. President Tinubu has urged Nigerians to harness their diversity for national stability and progress. Tinubu, who met with the members of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria at the Vatican in Rome yesterday after the inauguration of the papacy of Pope Leo XIV, said Nigeria will achieve stability and progress if citizens seek unity with their diversity rather than adversity. Leading the bishops was the Archbishop of Owerri and President of CBCN, Archbishop Lucius Ugoji, who thanked the President for facilitating their visit to the Vatican. First, to attend the funeral of the late Pope Francis, and now to witness the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV. He described the development as heralding a new era of stronger engagement between the Catholic Church and the Nigerian government. He also added that they would look forward to interfacing with the President just as he was able to do with the Pope. Following the Mass, Tinubu told reporters that the participation was consistent with the true sense of unity in diversity, and Nigerians will have to continue to work on it for the sake of the country and the continent as a whole. Meanwhile, the President used the opportunity for a warm and spontaneous encounter with the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, and former Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who were also there for the inauguration. And moving on, the Senate Committee on Power says the tariff shortfalls in the industry indicates that the government owes about 200 billion naira to electricity generating companies every month, thereby raising liquidity problems. Chairman of the committee, Senator Naya Baribe, told newsmen during a retreat in Ikotegbene in Akwa Ibom State that the government has not paid the power producers since the beginning of 2025, leading to a debt of about 800 billion naira. Now, according to him, this is in addition to the previous indebtedness of over 3 trillion naira. He added that the generating companies owe gas suppliers, adding that the gas suppliers cannot just continue to supply gas indefinitely without pay. The retreat, organized by the Nigerian Electricity and Regulatory Commission, was to proffer solutions to critical and emerging issues in the Nigerian power sector. Civic tech organization Budgit IT has raised concerns over the federal government's 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budgets, stating that its formulation and revenue framework were legally questionable and lacked adequate disclosure. The presidency initially submitted a proposed expenditure of 47.9 trillion naira, which the National Assembly raised to a 54.9 trillion without supplying the necessary microeconomic or fiscal analysis basic. Budgit IT, which promotes transparency and accountability in Nigeria's public finances, says the changes fall short of the requirement of the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007. It cited the Act as mandating that aggregate expenditure must not exceed estimated aggregate revenue plus a deficit of no more than 3% of the gross domestic product. However, it argued that based on the Budget Office GDP projection of 338 trillion naira, total spending should not have surpassed 51.95 trillion contrary to the over 3 trillion naira excesses that now obtains. Budget 8 further condemned government's continued refusal to publish a detailed revenue breakdown for the 2025 fiscal year, stating that comprehensive data has been released to allow for independent scrutiny. Moving on to Borno State, where the government, in collaboration with the federal government, has announced an ongoing review of counterinsurgency strategy in response to the recent resurgence of attacks in parts of the state. Disclosing the partnership in a statewide broadcast, Governor Babagana Zulum reaffirmed his administration's commitment to bolstering local security architecture, improving intelligence gathering, and providing frontline security personnel with necessary tools to combat insurgency effectively. He disclosed that he had held extensive consultation with federal partners and leadership of various security agencies. According to him, they are working together on comprehensive strategy to strengthen the security architecture. He also stated that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the service chiefs have given firm assurances to the state in addressing its persistent security challenges. Zulum further stressed the need to reinforce volunteer forces, including the civilian joint task force, local vigilantes, and hunters. Meanwhile, Governor Obasani of Kaduna State has blamed poverty and economic exclusion as the root causes of insecurity in northern Nigeria and warned that the region would continue to face unrest unless they are holistically addressed. Speaking on a local television program, the governor said that over 60 to 65% of people in the northern region, especially in the northwest, were financially excluded when he assumed office, adding that when he assumed office, this was made many young people vulnerable to recruitment by armed groups. According to him, the problem of insecurity is largely an economic issue, and that is the reason the people can easily be recruited by these bandits. Sani further disclosed that when he became governor in Kaduna State, over 350,000 children were out of school. He added that the government was addressing the problem gradually. Citing the UNICEF statistics, he disclosed that out of the 18.2 million out-of-school children today, the North accounts for about 70%. In a related development, operatives of the Department of State Services have arrested two high-profile suspected kidnap kingpins during a covert operation of Hajj camps in Abuja and Sokoto on their way to Saudi Arabia for the annual pilgrimage. The suspects, given as Yahaya Yakubu and Sani Galadi, are said to have been on the DSSS watch list for over a year, and the screening at various Hajj camps provided operatives the opportunity to apprehend them. Yakubu, who resides in Paikum Kore village in Gwagwalada area council of the Federal Capital Territory, was arrested at the Abuja Hajj camp, while Galadi, a native of Zamfara State, was picked up at the Sokoto Hajj camp. The DSS officers stationed at both locations reportedly recognized the suspects during the routine screening of intended pilgrims and promptly arrested them. According to the sources, Galadi, also known as My Boxer, is suspected to be responsible for several attacks by armed bandits across Sokoto State and Zamfara axis, while Yakubu is suspected to have masterminded a series of kidnapping in and around the FCT. Moving on, the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria said the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited refineries cannot optimally produce premium motor spirit but naphtha. To this end, it said its members can only buy petrol from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. DAPMAN Executive Secretary Olufemi Adewale confirmed that members are ready to lift petroleum products from Dangote Refinery as the only viable petroleum producing facility in the country. According to him, the marketers will only prompt if they cannot get the product locally. He further noted that the Dangote refinery was not ready to sell fuel to its members who wanted to buy in bulk. Adewale clarified that both the revamped Port Harcourt and Warri are not yet optimally producing PMS, and that members will not go to them for now. He insisted that the in-country production of PMS should be revamped and ramped up to give marketers more sources of getting the products. Well, joining us this afternoon in the studio to analyze the stories and more on the midday news is Barrister Darlington Agamo, who is a legal practitioner, of course, and VOP analyst. Good to have you, sir, in the studio.
Good afternoon, Promise. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How was your weekend, sir?
It's okay.
Barrister, Dapman petroleum marketers are saying that Warri Refinery and Port Harcourt Refinery are actually producing just naphtha. Like, there have been rumors about this beforehand that they do not refine products yet. I'm talking about Port Harcourt Refinery and Warri Refinery, that these refineries only blend products. They are not refining. So it looks like what people have been saying is actually true about these refineries. Although NNPC had contrary statements, several contrary statements about this. But at the end of the day, it looks like it's true. They are not refining products. They are only blending.
Are you surprised? I'm not surprised because from the beginning, I never believed that anything is being refined anywhere because of the secrecy surrounding the whole thing. When they told us Port Harcourt Refinery was refining, we all said, where are the products? They cleverly lined up some trucks that we are not lifting anything. We now said, okay, let us see the people there and what they are doing and all that. Because if you have a product to sell, you don't hide it. You will see movement all over the place, but we didn't see any. Rather, they brought 2 or 3 trucks that lifted the old product that they stored there. So from that time till now, I never believed that anything is being refined. Though government apologists wanted to make us believe that they are refining their product in that refinery. At the end of the day, have the truth not come out? That is why I keep telling you that you cannot hide a 6-month-old pregnancy. When a pregnancy is 6 months, it will show. Now, all their lies has been exposed. I don't know what they're going to say now.
So, Barrister, is this because they have some technical glitches or they do not have enough equipment to refine? What could be the reason why these refineries are not yet refining products?
Because the refineries are not fit to produce anything. They are carcass. That refinery, they are carcass.
Equipments are moribund.
Everything about it has become moribund. They are just pumping money there so that they can steal and steal and steal. Look at how long those refineries have been without action. They have not activated all the units and all that. And you know this metal thing, the moment you leave them for a long time, they will begin to wear out. You know, it's like parking a car in a place. Go and check. 6 months down the line, go and check that car. So that is how all these mechanical things are. They need to be working optimally for them to give you the best. But these things have been lying fallow. Moribund for a long time. The people who are working there, who claim to be workers, and they are officials, they are just there to collect money. Problem is, they are collecting money there. They are not doing anything. It's on record. It is the 10 billion naira they pay them monthly that they are interested in, not to revive that refinery, because it is not fit to refine anything. That's just the truth.
So, Barrister, let's just get a little total of amount that the government has actually put into Port Harcourt and Warri Refinery, trying to get that statistics. The outgoing Parliament, the outgoing National Assembly reported that Nigeria spent about 25 billion over the past 10 years to fix these refineries. For just in 2021, they spent about $1.48 billion, Barrister Darlington. And for Port Harcourt Refinery, they spent around $1.5 billion to fix it. So what kind of equipment wouldn't be enough for this amount of money? And why is it not still working?
They didn't want it to work. Not that they don't want it to work. That is why when they sack their all the managing directors of those refineries, you saw how much, you saw how much they got in one of them, in the account of one of them. And then others are now on the run, including Menekiari and Co. So it is those money that have been stealing right, left, and center. That's what they are doing there, to steal money, not to work. I mean, all their lives has been exposed. Will they come and tell us another lie? Because I remember the hoopla that greeted that Port Harcourt refinery. All the government apologies, they were jubilating. Tinubu congratulated Menekiari for telling him lies. For telling him blatant lies. You can see. That is Nigeria for you. That's how Nigeria will work. So
Menekiari is out. Why has he not been investigated? There are different calls from people, well-meaning Nigerians, for him to be investigated. There have been more than 3 or 4 protests staged against Menekiari, asking for EFCC to investigate him. Why has he not been called by EFCC? Or why hasn't he been questioned by EFCC?
Alante ran away to the UK. That's where he is.
Barrister, we'll have Interpol.
Of course.
We'll have bilateral relationships with UK. That shouldn't be a problem. Is that a problem?
It's not a problem, but people like that, they're untouchable. It's only Dizian and Madeke that have been petroleum minister in this country that they can be able to harass and chase up and down. People like Menekiari, they are above the laws of this country. Have you had any attempt, anything about Menekiari and EFCC? Nothing. Nothing. After all, he should have been the first person to be arrested. The first person, immediately he left office or he was sacked. He should have been the first person. But nothing was said or done until the new managing director of NNPC now started sacking all of them and all that. Is that not what happened? So the man, when he saw what was going, he quietly took off to the UK to go and cool off there. They will not do anything to him. They won't.
So UK is the El Dorado for some politicians after their tenure.
Of course.
Seems like it is.
Of course, that is the resting ground for all of them. Their new paradise.
All right, Barrister, let's move on.
Because those people now, they welcome any looter as long as the money is coming in.
Okay, Barrister, let's talk about insecurity now. The governor of Kaduna State, Obasani, has blamed poverty and economic exclusion as the root causes of insecurity in northern Nigeria. Do you think the north is excluded economically? The north has the strongest farmers we have in Nigeria. In fact, every food we consume in Nigeria, every agricultural product we consume comes from the north. And I know this government over the past administration, have programs for agriculture, for farmers in the north to help them in all of this, talking about fertilizers, talking about grants, talking about loans and soft loans. So are they economically excluded like Obasani just said? And is that the reason for insecurity?
Obasani is talking to himself. I don't want to listen to such characters, especially from the north. So what were they thinking? What were they dreaming of when they went to invite terrorists into Nigeria? No, they didn't know that the thing will affect them, Abi. Go and ask Kawu Baraje, who came to reveal what they did. This man came and told us how they invited the terrorists from 3 different regions of Africa to come into Nigeria. He even told us how they armed them. And you are asking how this security.
Barrister,
nobody should listen to such people, please. Nobody.
Barrister, he's saying poverty is the reason why people can be easily be recruited into terrorism. Talking about banditry and Boko Haram.
Are you serious? Oh, is there poverty, Abi? For people who are the main producers of food in Nigeria. So how can
Barrister would know that poverty and war increases crime. In every area or in every country that you have high rate of poverty or high rate of, or maybe there are crises going on in those countries, you see crime rates increase. Statistically, it's normal.
Look, whatever you are saying now about poverty, crime rate, insecurity, the question is, how did it start?
So you're saying it's the northern elites or the
They
northern
approached
elders
them.
that
Yeah,
invited terrorists
exactly.
into their
record.
region?
It's on record. I'm not doing propaganda here. They have told us how they did it. It's not a hidden fact. Sheikh Gumi was even making a boast of them. How he used to go and commune with them in their territory inside the bush. And he even threatened us that unless we listen to what the bandits are saying, there will be no peace in Nigeria. When you hear all this, you ask yourself, these people, what are they thinking? Are you sure these people are part of Nigeria? Because they never wish Nigeria well. I have never seen anybody, any patriot, any leader with the right set of mind will go and invite criminals, terrorists into his country. For what? And now they are making us all over the place. Insecurity. So I should pity them, Abi. Hold on, I should pity them. I will not, too. Seriously, I will not. Because we want them, but they refuse to listen. So, if you want to get power now, you now unleash terrorists at the whole area, Abi. No, that is the new game plan. That whenever the North need power, what they needed to do is to unleash terrorists on the rest of Nigerians. Are you serious? Let me see how Nigeria will work now. Abi, after destroying Nigeria, let me see whom they will blame.
Barrister, let's talk about the budgets. What the a civic tech organization, Budget has raised concerns over the federal government's 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budget. Barrister, you remember that the president submitted a proposed expenditure of 47.9 trillion to the National Assembly. And surprisingly, the National Assembly, without supplying necessary macroeconomic fiscal analysis to Nigerians, increased that budget to about 54.9 trillion. There is no reason. They haven't given Nigerians reason for increasing this budget. Barrister, this is not the first time we see the National Assembly pad budgets. Almost every fiscal year we see this happen in Nigeria, talking about budget padding. Do they not owe it to Nigerians to at least explain or give substantial reason why this has happened?
Yeah, why would they do that? When that place is the heaven of corruption. That is why they are not doing that. They are interested in money. When they increased this budget to that 54 trillion, do you know what they did? They now added 170 billion for themselves. 170 billion for themselves. What does that mean? It means that these people are not there for the betterment of this country or you and I. No, they are there for their own pockets. And that is the National Assembly headed by Akpabio and this other man, Abbas. They are there to collect money, loot the treasure, loot everything lootable. They will not look at what the executives are doing to checkmate them. No.
But Barrister,
that's not part of the agenda.
In a Senate claim where we have proper democracy, shouldn't there be a comprehensive data to at least to be released to people so that people would independently scrutinize these figures?
Are you serious? So that they will expose themselves, Abi? Oh, you don't know that when they do other time, they will expose themselves. And because when you start doing that, you now be asking, this money, this particular 1 naira, where is it going to? We have seen this one.
But that is how it should be.
No. Things are not the same in Nigeria. Promise, please, to keep your sanity. Don't use Nigeria to compare what is going on outside here. Because our democracy, as they told you, is peculiar. Is a Nigerian type of democracy. And that means your own part of democracy is to loot money, not to govern, not to lead the people, not to introduce good policies.
But we're practicing an American system of governance and democracy.
Well, you ask yourself,
can American Senate pad to the tune of trillions of naira to the budget without Americans giving them any solid reason for doing that?
You have answered.
Barrister, there should be scrutiny. There should have been protests around America. People would have been talking. Those things cannot happen in Senate claim. So why do we have these things happening in Nigeria?
I said we have brought congressmen from America on our shows on radio.
Yes.
On more than 2 occasions.
Sure.
And you heard what they said. You heard what they said. That you don't even have the opportunity to even touch money that is not your own.
They drive their private cars. The government do not buy SUVs for them.
So when you hear all this, and this is America with the $25 trillion economy, that is your economy, you not even reach $1 trillion. And you want to emulate those whose economy is over $25 trillion. Where do you start? So why didn't they loot all the money? Why didn't they loot all the money? Or their president just collect the money and then become the richest man on earth and in heaven? With all that money, yet they don't have access to those money. It's for American people. It's the people's money. You don't take it. Here, whenever they see $1, they start scrambling, run up and down, how to share the money.
So Barrister Darlington, this brings me to what Ganduje said, and Peter Obi, Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate, had a reply to it. Ganduje was implying that he stated that by 2027, Nigeria would rather have just one party system, but there is no need for Nigeria to have different parties or opposition. That look, in China has practiced one party system. But Obi, however, reminded him that also in China, punishment for crime is capital punishment for something as little as any kind of corruption.
Exactly.
It is. So why do we not also emulate capital punishment into our own laws to checkmate people?
Exactly.
So why does it have to be convenient for you? Why do you choose the laws that is convenient for you out of those laws of those countries? If you want to pick them, why not pick them entirely?
Exactly. All the things that China is doing that make them to be progressive, can they do it here? This looting, can you try it if you want to copy Chinese type of one party state? The only reason why they are so that nobody will query them, nobody will look into what they are doing. They will not have the opportunity to loot money. In fact, it will now become part of their policy. When you join the APC, your life is settled. You don't take your own share, and you ask yourself, if it turned out like that, what will happen to Nigeria? Few years down the line, what will happen to our democracy? Will it not collapse? A country where people are just after the money, after the treasury, how far can that country go? That means if Tinubu is to benefit from it, that means he will become the richest man in Africa, in the whole world, and in heaven. Is that not what we turn out to? Who will ask him, what does this money? Who owns it? Where did you get it? That's what they are trying to do. And they are not thinking of it. By the time we get there and things become very terrible and all that, the same people will turn around and say, how did we get here? Well, I mean, the things are getting out of hand. You know, where is the Nigerian money? Why should the Nigerian money be in the hands of one man? They will start complaining, the same people. That's why we are telling them now. Look where you are going to. There is no road there. There's no road, especially with Tinubu, there's no road there. If you allow this thing to succeed, in fact, before you can marry a wife in Nigeria, Tinubu will approve it. Maybe by that time you know how far.
Would that still be democracy?
No, that's the best democracy, so that you don't marry the wrong wife. The only wife Tinubu chooses for you, that's the best. You don't marry the wrong wife now.
Barrister, I don't think Nigeria would not get to that point.
Really? Already, where are we now?
Barrister, let's talk about the State House owing for electricity. The Senate Committee on Power says tariff shortfall. The Senate Committee on Power, by the way, is led by Senator Enyin Naya-Baribe. He says that shortfall in electricity indicates that government is owing about 200 billion naira of electricity per month. Monthly, Barrister Darlington, and in total, the State House is owing about 800 billion naira. And we also know that they are shifting to solar panel. Shouldn't they clear this debt, first of all, before installing or shifting to solar? And if the State House is owing this amount of money, 200 billion every month, in total 800 billion, Barrister Darlington, then the common man owes little tariffs, and they are being punished. Shouldn't the State House or FG lead by example? That is my question.
That is why people struggle to get into government, so that whatever they do, nobody will punish them, nobody will query them. it will be part of the figure that we bandy about. People are owing this money.
People could hear this news and say, after all, the federal government is owing, so why should I pay?
Well, go and try it now. Go and try it and see whether they will not carry ladder the following day and come to your house. Go and try it. That's why it is. We said in Nigeria that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Now tell me, why should the federal government be owing that kind of money? Why? Why should they be owing that kind of money?
Right, so that means the federal government is using prepaid meter, estimated bill, or whatever it is.
So,
are they metered? If they are metered, they shouldn't be owing to this tune every month, would they?
Yes, now they are metered, but are they paying the money? Because if you go to all their offices...
Barrister, if they are metered, if you do not have, if your money is exhausted in your meter, in your card, you won't have power. You won't have power supply. That means they are not metered for them to be owing it to this tune.
No, they are metered. The only thing is that nobody is checking what they are doing.
So you're saying they just keep supplying them electricity even when they don't pay?
When their meter run out, they know how to go about it.
Oh.
Yes.
And get power supply.
That's it. When their meter run out. So
is that the right thing to do?
They now give them estimated billing, which they are not paying. You get it. Meter cannot carry what they are doing there. Yes, meter cannot. So I think it's an arrangement. How much they're supposed to be paying monthly and all that, which they are not paying. So, I mean...
That is estimated billing.
That is what I think, because if it is metered...
I was saying it's the same thing. It should be estimated billing for them to have that, to owe that amount of debt.
Because if it is metered, when their meter run out, they're supposed to go and recharge.
Yes, and they will be cut off supply, power supply.
And who are you to cut off supply in a government office? Who are you?
Really? Even when they are owing, Barrister.
I say, who are you to do that? This is
so it brings me. This brings us to your statement that some animals are actually.
You do hear when they cut off Navy barracks and Army barracks?
And they had to beat up.
They went to their office and scattered the
beat up
place.
The disco
Can
staff.
you try it as a civilian? Can you? You can see the society we are living in. You can see how lawlessness have taken over our lives. Everything, anybody is acting with impunity and all that. It is the common man that suffers. You can see. I say, oh, NEPA, 10 naira now. The following day, they will carry ladder and come to your house. They would even want to remove the roof of your house because you are owing them 10 naira. But government offices are owing 800 billion naira. Imagine the amount.
That's a lot of money.
No, it's peanut. Instead of them to go and collect this money, they'll be disturbing poor people who you did not even give light to. You did not give them prepaid meter, but you're extorting money from them. You can imagine.
Barrister, let's talk about the president going to Rome. He was in Vatican City for the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV, and he has preached unity and, yes, for Nigerians. But Barrister, yesterday, this made a lot of headlines, especially in Twitter space or in X. So it looks like the president's media saw it as a huge, will I say, opportunity or a huge thing for the president to be there in the Vatican City. The thing is, every head of state is protocol to invite every president of every country or every government officials of every country. So Nigeria's case was not peculiar. It wasn't peculiar for Nigeria. Why was it such a big deal for the president's media aides?
You see this government.
Because it looks like they're using it to score some kind of chief points as an achievement that the president was in Vatican City. And they even had to shade Peter Obi for it that, oh, look at, Obi wasn't invited, but the president was there. Obi is not the president of the country. Do you have to compare him to a candidate that contested the election with you?
I said they have reduced governance into a joke in Nigeria. I mean, a very huge joke. When they are celebrating the invitation of Tinubu to the Vatican, what are they driving at? If he was not invited now, they will say it was Obi that told them not to invite him. You can imagine. Meanwhile, Tinubu was invited.
Well, Obi was actually there.
He was there. He was there. Yeah. He was there.
They even exchanged pleasantries. Onanuga made a special statement.
Now,
Barrister Darlington had to put in that, Peter Obi exchanged pleasantries with the president.
You see, Tinubu is looking for validation. That's why whenever any foreign leader even say hello to him abroad, it becomes news.
What is special about Peter Obi exchanging pleasantries with the president?
They want to tell you that Peter Obi is equally trying to run to APC. That's what they were talking about. You have not heard of that propaganda. It's coming very soon. They are going to expand it and say, yes, Peter Obi even ran to Vatican to meet Tinubu so that they can discuss about his defection.
So everything is about scoring cheap political points right now.
Anybody from opposition that greet Tinubu now, he's talking about defection. If you greet any APC...
Talking about defection, there are rumors that Fuwara is going
to... Let us even finish this Vatican. Let me tell Bayo Organico, look, the invitation of Tinubu is based on the large number of
Catholic people, Christians in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing. It's not as if Tinubu is a good leader or that he's doing well after all. If not for that, with the killings of mostly Christians in the north, should the Tinubu be invited to the Vatican? These people that they are killing, especially in Plateau and Benue, who are they? Are they not mostly Christians? No, answer me. So on what basis with the Pope now invite him to congratulate him for killing his members, Abi? No, they are not talking about that one. Is that not a very big issue? That mostly the Christians are the ones suffering this in the north. Or can you tell me that Fulani killers are killing themselves? No, let somebody come and tell me that Fulanis are killing their brothers.
And people had a problem that the president could easily run to the Vatican City, but couldn't visit Christians, especially in Southern Kaduna and Benue and Plateau State that have been killed.
Exactly. So the invitation is not about Tinubu. It's all about the Catholic Christians in Nigeria, nothing else. In fact, Christians in Nigeria. So let them leave that argument. Because I just asked them a question here. Will the Pope will invite you to thank you for killing his members in Nigeria? Because they are the ones suffering most in this killing. They are the ones. Go and look at the record. They are the ones. Because even if I'm told, I would not believe it that Fulanis are killing their fellow Fulanis. It is not possible. It can never happen. These are targeted killings. Everybody is aware of that. So why are they making the issue out of nothing? And if Tinubu was not invited now, they will say it was Peter Obi that told them.
So Barrister, this is your statement. Before let's wrapping up, it brings me to the a statement where an imam in Taraba State, you know that Taraba State is predominantly Christian state.
All the middle
so there is an imam in the state that have started campaigning for governorship election in that state, and he is saying that, telling Muslim faithfuls that, look, they shouldn't allow a Christian who is an infidel, putting him to lead them, that it shouldn't be done. Barrister, isn't that calling for religious cleansing at this point? We'll see what is going on in Benue. We'll see what is going on in the northeast and northwest. We'll see what is going on in Plateau State. We'll see what has been going on in Southern Kaduna, the way Christians were killed right from the time El Rufai was the governor. Shouldn't the DSS by now have invited that imam?
They will not.
Because of that statement.
I said they will not. They will never, because somebody did even worse things. When they called the wife of Tinubu, Oluremi Tinubu, as an infidel, and that God told him to kill her. It happened in this country.
He apologized.
To who? Apologized to who? It was Murik that the man apologized to, not even to Tinubu's wife, not even to the first lady. And yet Tinubu did not even say anything. Is that not enough to arrest that man? If that man was arrested and taught a lesson.
And comparing this to during in 2023, Barrister Darlington, remember YDS in Dibu of Ajowe State has been in prison because he said he was going to invite IPOB to help them fight if there is any person in Lagos that has to protect them if there is any person that has been attacked or that will be attacked again in Lagos. Comparing that, Barrister, is it hypocrisy or just, like you said, some animals are just small animals than others?
After detaining him for 2 years, they now released him and said he has no case to answer. Is that not what happened at the end of the day? Without compensation, without anything. Now, these people are making very provocative statements all over the place. Yet,
All right, Barrister Darlington, sadly, we've run out of time. Thank you so much.
That is the country we have. Oh.
Thank you so much, sir, for your submission.
It's my pleasure.
Barrister Darlington, of course, is a legal practitioner who is always giving us better perspective and insight to our news analysis here. We'll go on a short break and return with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now to the rest of the stories. Fresh disagreement is brewing in federal universities and inter-university centers following the rejection of the sharing formula for the 50 billion naira and allowances. The owned allowances, which was recently approved by the federal government, is to be shared among the university-based unions, which includes Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, universities, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, as well as the National Association of Academic Technologists. However, the Joint Action Committee of SANU and NASU has raised an alarm that 80% of the money has been allocated to ASU, leaving paltry sum of 20% to the other three unions. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, has redeployed some judges. To that effect, Soho informed the general public that there was no need for litigants or counsels to apply to him to reassign pending cases. In a statement by the FHC Director of Information, Dr. Catherine Christopher, Justice Soho directed Justice M.G. Umaru of Enugu Judicial Division to take over cases earlier presided over by Justice Inyang Ekwo of Court 5 in Abuja Division. Also, Justice Tijani Regime has been redeployed from Gombe Division to the Yola Division, while Justice M.T. Shegun Bello is redeployed from Abakaliki Division to Enugu Division. Equally, Justice Bella Khalifa Mohammed Usman has been transferred from Yola Division to Oka Division, and Justice Amina Aliyu Mohammed from Oka Division to Gombe Division. According to the statement, the redeployments take immediate effect. Justice Soho further charged the affected judges to deliver all pending judgments in their current stations within the shortest possible time. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki has urged Nigerians in the diaspora to vie for elective offices at home and to make the necessary positive difference in the country's governance with their level of education and exposure. Saraki, who spoke at the reunion gala of King's College Old Boys Association of North America in Houston, Texas, advised them to drop their silence in the face of poor governance. He further stressed the need for them to play key roles at the various levels of governance. Meanwhile, mixed reactions are trailing the federal government's revalidation of the National Social Register as part of efforts to improve conditional cash transfer to vulnerable Nigerians. Speaking on VOP TV's flagship breakfast show, VOP This Morning, communication expert Akin Fatunke dismissed the cash transfer scheme, saying that it will not cushion the effect of hardship in the country. Also weighing in, public affairs analyst Lekian Christian, who joined from our Port Harcourt studio, lamented that Successive government policies have failed to meet the expectations of Nigerians. And away from that, Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources Tokunbo Wahab has announced government's plan to reinforce a total single-use plastic from July 1, 2025. Wahab, who disclosed this in Lagos during a courtesy visit by the management of Tetra Pak West Africa Limited, the state has been very strategic and intentional with the ban. He described the plan, which was initiated earlier in the year, as an existing choice due to several factors. On a sad note, one of the construction workers trapped under the rubble of the collapsed one-story building under construction at Idiaraba in the Mushin area of Lagos State has been recovered dead. Coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency Lagos Territory Office, Ibrahim Farile, confirmed the development, stating that 3 others have been rescued alive while search and rescue operation continues. The spokesperson for the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Shakiru Amodu, also confirmed the death of the recovered victim. And now to business. The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Dunhai, has said that plans are underway to establish electric vehicle factories in Nigeria as part of efforts to deepen collaboration between both countries in the solid mineral sector. Ambassador Dunhai, who spoke in Abuja during a courtesy visit to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, described Nigeria as a great nation with abundant natural resources. He reiterated China's strategic interest in strengthening bilateral relations, particularly in the area of mineral development and infrastructure. Audited financial statement of the Central Bank of Nigeria shows that it recorded a significant decline of 4.145 trillion naira in net loans and receivables in 2024. This was driven primarily by a reduction in its overdraft exposure to the federal government and changes across other loan categories. According to the financial statement, net loans and recoveries at the bank level dropped from 16.122 trillion naira to a 2023 11.977 trillion in 2024. At the group level, the figure declined from 15.091 trillion to a 10.959 trillion naira, reflecting a 4.132 trillion naira drop. The most substantial adjustment came from the overdraft extended to the federal government under the Ways and Means provision. The Ways and Means provision in Nigeria refers to the CBN's practice of extending temporary advances to the federal government to cover short-term funding gaps. And rounding off with sports, the 22nd National Sports Festival, no pomp and ceremony after being declared open by the President. Represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, Tinubu noted that the MKO Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta, Ogun State, that sports has become a rallying point and a unifying factor for Nigerians of all cadres. Urging the athletes to compete fairly, Tinubu said the Gateway Games Ogun 2024 is not only about competition, but an opportunity to develop the country's sports economy. Wait. And that's it on the midday news, but before we go, let's take a quick look at the headlines again. Tinubu preaches unity, meets Obi, fire me, Catholic bishops. FG's electricity debt balloons by 800 billion naira. This is according to the Senate. Budget says FG for exceeding GDP projection. FG partners Borno on anti-terror strategy revamp. SANU, NASU rejects sharing formula in 50 billion earned allowances. In business, China to open EV factories in Nigeria, says Dunhai. In sports, Tinubu urges fair competition as Gateway Games opens. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel on Voice of the People TV and on all other social media platforms. We are VOP TV Live. I promise, good afternoon.